How's it going, my truant people? Dr. Slacking, the Slacking Doctor, back with week 8 of the APA for you. And this week we're going up against my man, Mid Poker Master. I always try and say that the wrong way round. Wrong way round. We're going to go with Mid Poker Master and his Kentucky Torracats, I believe. This game was played I want to say a week and a half ago. I don't know, a little while ago. So I'll be the first to admit that my memory is pretty hazy on this one. Definitely not as fresh as I would like it to be. But regardless, above my head will be appearing a timestamp if you want to skip the team builder and you want to skip ahead to the battle. Otherwise, I think I have to shout out Lantern Joe for recording this battle for me. And I believe I genned the team myself this week. I think this was the second team that I genned myself. I'm pretty sure. I think. Could be wrong. I think I genned it myself. If I didn't and somebody else genned it for me, I apologize to them. But I think I genned this one myself. Regardless, let's get into this. So, my opponent has... and also shout out to Aquarius, because I'm pretty sure Aquarius mocked with me for this one. I can remember them bringing certain sets, so I'm certain they mocked with me for this one. Shout out to them. But yeah, moving on. Let's jump into my opponent's roster here. So, Mid has a very, very scary team featuring Mew. It should be appearing above my head here, I think. Mew, Charizard X, Gliscor, Scolipede, Milotic, Primarina, Decidueye, Forretress, Pangoro, Electivire, and Linoone. Now, Linoone, I think, is a horrible mon. I don't like it. I think it's bad, but it's also obnoxious because it can just belly drum and E-Speed 3 teams. And I just dislike it for that reason. But, you know, it works. It works. So, got to watch out for that. Charizard X, obviously phenomenal breaker, phenomenal Dragon Dance setup mon, potential bulky tank Zarda X, actually looks like it has a good matchup against me, potentially. Mew can set up in any which way, very, very scary mon. Gliscor, potential setup threat, Scolipede, potential setup threat, Primarina, very, very strong, Decidueye, potential setup threat, and Pangoro, very, very strong. Electivire, kind of think is bad, but, well, that's just my opinion. So, a lot of setup threats on there. That's the point, is that it's very, very difficult to really switch into Mid's team that easily. There's a lot of options, a lot of ways you can go, and you don't quite know what's going to come. So, with that in mind, let's jump into what we've brought, why we've brought it, and what we're hoping to do here. So, first one on the team is Scarf, Reckless, Mienshao. I've run Reckless, Mienshao quite a lot this season, Scarf quite a few times as well. In this case, it's just because a +1 Zardex is a pain to deal with. This way, I always have a Revenge Killer to +1 Zardex, and it really can't get to more than +1 against my build. So, that's okay, right? We can deal with that. But yeah, with the Scarf Stone Edge on there, we can always Revenge Kill Zard. It's kind of forced my hand this week to bring that because I do fear the Dragon Dance set. Otherwise, I would like to have brought this Banded or just another one in the slot. But when I looked at my team and looked at Scarfers that could outspeed +1 Zard and that could kill it, Mienshao was really the way to go. So because of that, we are going to try and make Mienshao the late game cleaner as well, because it is our Scarfer on this team with that Reckless high jump kick. And so the rest of the team is kind of built with that in mind, trying to position that. So second one, Crobat. This one can also clean up Adam Sandler with a Black Sludge on there, giving us a bit of longevity. Brave Bird firing that off. We're a relatively bulky set because this is also our kind of only real switch into Pangoro. Pangoro's a nightmare for our draft to deal with, or a nightmare for most drafts to deal with, honestly, if you don't have a really great Fairy. And our Fairy being part Psychic type means Pangoro is a problem. So I do expect to see the Pangoro here. And yeah, Adam Sandler's just here to switch into that thing, otherwise it's going to be a nightmare. We can Brave Bird it, we can also taunt things like the Zard X so that can't set up on us, taunt the Mew potentially so that can't set up on us, if we're feeling pretty brave there. And, you know, maybe taunt the Linoone as well so that can't belly drum up on us. Brave Bird will hit everything on his team pretty decently. The only resists are the Electivire, which we can U-turn out on. And I think that's it, because Forretress isn't the best steel type in that sense, with it being part bug. So yeah, so really we can get some big hits off with Brave Bird and also Defog on here just to make sure that Forretress can't really set up too many hazards on us. We can come in on Forretress pretty easily and be able to defog away. So that's pretty nice. I did have Roost on here at one point. I think I preferred Taunt over Roost. That might have been a mistake. I didn't really realize I didn't have Roost until I got into the battle. I kind of thought I had 5 moves. I hadn't really thought about it. So yeah, that was a little bit worrying. Then next up, Barney, the Tyranitar. This is a very, very speedy Tyranitar, designed to try and catch the Gliscor off guard, because like I said, if we're trying to position Mienshao to win this game, we want to try and break that Gliscor. So by making this thing a lot faster than, or quite a bit faster than like a base speed Gliscor. Hopefully we can catch him off guard and we can catch him not speed creeping the set, and then we can hit him with that Ice Beam and just do so much damage to that thing that he's really not going to be able to take a high jump kick. And even if we are slower than him, because we've got pretty Fizz Def investment on this thing, we will take an Earthquake anyway, but obviously you could roost it back off. He loses 4 times weakness to Ice when he roosts because he loses flying types. It's just ideally that we can outspeed him. That would be the best possible scenario. And we also are designed to take hits from Zard, of course, although if he comes with a tank Zard, he's going to be able to Will-O-Wisp me, and that's going to be pretty annoying. I do think that could be very, very possible for this exact reason, because if I go hard T-Tart on Zard when he Dragon Dances, he might just want to Will-O-Wisp me, but if he doesn't and he's just 3 attacks Dragon Dance or something like that, we can hit him pretty hard with Stone Edge and take an Earthquake because of our physical defense investments. So next up, Rotom Wash. Bosch is back. I have Papa Berry again, just like last week. Pretty Fizz Def set with quite a lot of special attack investment, basically meaning that Zard cannot Dragon Dance on me. We will 2-hit KOs pretty much any variant of Zard. I think even a max HP Zard, we will 2-hit KO with Hydro Pump, just basically to stop that thing trying to set up on me, because it might think that I'm passive or whatever. We can really bop that thing. Volt Switch Will-O-Wisp, obviously, to cripple a couple of things on his team, like the potential Gliscor. If we can get a Will-O-Wisp on that, that would be pretty nice. Also, the Decidueye coming in if it's some sort of Seppa variant, as it does look like it's best switch into my dual stab. We can Will-O-Wisp that. The Electivire too, if that wants to come in. That can be really, really nice. Thunderbolt, of course, on there to help break things like the Milotic and the Primarina. Then next up, we have Bason, the Blaziken, back. I have loved using this thing, and I cannot wait to use it again. Fightinium Z, high jump kick this time, because Swords Dance into Fightinium should kill Milotic. He can scout for it. I think he will have to scout for it, but there's not a lot that can switch into a +2 Z high jump kick from Blaziken. This thing hits so damn hard. We are adamant as well on this set. Just going all out to try and pick up some KOs with this thing. Flare Blitz and Stone Edge on there just for coverage, of course. Flare Blitz is stab, it hits most of his team pretty hard as well, and Stone Edge particularly for that Charizard X, and for the I'm not sure what else it was for, possibly just mainly for that, really. Yeah, maybe for the Gliscor so I don't have to take recoil. For the Primarina, that's what it's there for, because it resists both stabs. But Primarina doesn't even take a Fightinium very well, at +2. I'm hoping the Milotic doesn't come though. I'm hoping the Primarina comes because it does switch into both of my stabs. I'm hoping that's the Water type it elects to bring to this match, and that means that he just leaves the Milotic at home, but we'll have to wait and see. And then last up on the team is Red, the Scissor. Banded, it isn't really great in this matchup, but what it can do is it can kind of bait out things like the Gliscor and the Forretress. I can then U-turn on them, and I can get to +2 with Blaziken on the Forretress. That's really the main reason that I brought this, is try and get Blaziken in on Forretress on the pivot and get it to +2, or potentially get the Gliscor and pivot out and get into Rotom Wash and just keep up momentum. But yeah, Scissor's kind of not great if he doesn't bring the Forretress, but it still has Banded Bullet Punch for some of the setup threats like Scolipede, which could be really, really scary. It can also Bullet Punch something like the Linoon, for example, because we can take an E-Speed because we've got some defensive investment and stuff. So yeah, it's just really on there to try and hit things and get some big chip off on them. That's the kind of thinking. So, with all that being said, guys, let's jump into battle and see how we got on. So here we are in the battle, guys, and as you can see, Mid decided to bring the Primarina, the Mew, the Charizard X, the Milotic, the Electivire, and the Gliscor. So we stole Batfink from us for starters. That's our Gliscor on the end there, from the first team we drafted this season. The whole 3-draft thing has been so confusing. But unfortunately, he did decide to bring both Water types and his Psychic type, so winning with Mienshao is going to be pretty difficult. Winning with Crobat looks more likely in the end game. Got to sort out that Electivire and that Gliscor particularly, and realistically the Milotic. But it looks more possible than winning with Mienshao. Blaziken is going to be really key for breaking through his team. Hopefully we can outspeed a few things. Hopefully it's like a slow Mew, but from the fact he's brought both Water types, that makes me think it's a really offensive Mew, because he's probably going to use those as physical walls for my double fighting type on my draft, which is really, really interesting, but I just think that's how he'll play it, because Milotic is such a good physical wall. I also got Gliscor here as well. It just so frees up Mew to be an offensive setup variant, but nevertheless, we can maybe work around that. So I'm going to lead off with Rotom Wash, because Rotom Wash actually looks amazing against this team. His 2 switch-ins don't really appreciate Hydro Pumps, so in his, his electric communities, I should say. So we're going to lead off with Rotom Wash, basically try and punish any lead he could start off with. It looks like his only hazard-setting lead is Gliscor, so we can try and do that, or potentially Mew, but like I say, looking at the composition of the team, I don't feel like Mew's going to be like that. I feel like it's going to be more offensive. I'm actually just going to make a quick cut for 1 second, guys. So here we are, guys. Hopefully I remembered to make that cut. You know what I'm like. There's a good chance I've forgotten, but hopefully I remembered to make that cut. I just wanted to slow the music down in my headphones slightly because it was running at like just too fast. I just wanted to slow it down a little bit. I'd set the speed to more of a custom speed, and yeah, I didn't like it. So we're gonna lead off with the Rotom Wash. Bosch here, gonna try and do some work for his turn one, as he does lead it off with the Primarina, and I'm like, superb, that's phenomenal, that's, dreamland. Hopefully we can still bait the Gliscor with Tyranitar. Then all we have to do is burn our Z on the Milotic, and we can break through all of his main physical walls. Mew's still going to be a problem, but if it is more offensive, at least it'll be Frailer. So we're just going to fire off the T-Bolt here. We do have that Iapapa Berry. Even if he is like Specs, we always take this hit, and we always get our Iapapa back. So he does fire off the Moonblast, does reveal to be Specs, I believe, from memory, and we do just get all of that lovely health back with the Iapapa. It does suck losing our Berry this early in the battle, but at the same time, getting that damage on Premier is huge. Now, here I wanted to Hydro Bump because it looks like it should KO, but I just couldn't risk the miss. I didn't want to let Bosch go down for no reason because he was parried. I want to talk about that Parrow for a second. Actually kind of sucked for us because he was parried. I thought there was a good chance he might just stay in and sack it off. If he hadn't got parried, I think I would have pumped there, to be honest, more predicting him to be willing to save it, but regardless, I'm just going to stay in here and get the Will-O-Wisp off. It seems worth it just to try and neuter this thing, because I don't switch into this thing very well. I wasn't really prepped for it, to be honest, at all. I didn't really think it would come, but I guess because my ground type is Golurk, I don't have the best ground type, he maybe thought he could try and abuse that. Makes perfect sense. So anyway, we're going to pivot into Barney here. Now that he's burned, he's going to be getting residual chip from the burn, from the sand. Did I remember to turn the music down on this? I'm just going to adjust this ever so slightly. Hopefully that's still okay for you guys. We take that Wild Charge. He does actually crit us, which really, really sucks. I mean, that Wild Charge does a little bit more than it would have done. And now I'm like, okay, I think he could be like choice or whatever, but I should probably scout for the cross drop. So I'm going to make the play into Scissor here because it covers any of his switches to me, like, say, the Milotic, for example. I can U-turn out on that. If he wants to sack the Primarina, I can Bullet Punch through that. So I'm just going to make the double into red here, and we can scout for the cross chop. And now with the Flame Orb and the burn and the sand, I thought he would be put in Bullet Punch range. It looked like Bullet Punch was going to do about 50% from what I could see. So I was like, it didn't quite put him as low as I'd hoped. And our Bullet Punch doesn't do quite as much as I'd hoped. And he does have the Flamethrower rather than like Fire Punch, which we would take with him being burnt. So yeah, just all around bad time there, bad plays by me. Yeah, this thing was just pivoting around. It was just hard in my defense, and he does now drop to the sand and the burn. So in a sense, Scissor did its job getting him down that low, but in another sense, it really, really sucks to lose our Scissor that early because it is still great for the Mew and stuff like that if he isn't taking like Flamethrower or Fire Punch on the Mew. So here I'm just going to go into Bosch because we can either get some momentum off or a big hit off on something with a little bit of HP left. So I believe I just go for the pump here. And I think Sand ends this turn, so it's not like he has a... I just go down here anyway. Obviously, he went into Gliscor, so we still threatened that thing. Just like earlier in the battle, we're not letting him get his rocks up for free. The Sand doesn't end this turn, but we take one turn of Sand anyway, so we don't go down. I knew that I was just like, I'm sure we don't die here because I'm sure the Charizard X comes in, and now I'm like, I'm just going to Hydro Pump because basically I don't want to let him Dragon Dance, right? If he Dragon Dances, yes, I can Revenge Kill him, but it's not going to be super easy. He still has the Milotic and stuff, so I'm just going to Pump here. Don't let him get free damage off. I don't really have anything that I'd want to pivot into that much as like a sack. He just goes for Dragon Claw and picks up the KO, and I'm like, that's fine. Bosch did its job. It managed to KO the Primarina, burn the Electivire. I'm really new to that thing. So in the end, it just did its job here, Bosch did. And now Barney can come in, and here I thought about just trying to get rocks up, and I was like, no, if he Dragon Dances or something on me stupidly or Will-O-Wisp me or something, then I'm going to feel like an idiot if I just go for rocks. So I'm just going to go for the Stone Edge here. I'll get Big Chip on anything else. I figured Milotic would probably come in, but I can force some Milotic to recover anyway and then get my rocks up on its recover. So it kind of felt like, you know, I can get my rocks up sooner or later, but at least I can punish him if he makes a bad play and stays in with his Zard here. So we do get a Stone Edge off, and with the Sand Chip and the Flame Orb, which activates here, was pretty secure in the knowledge this would be Flame Orb. He's going to really need to recover this turn, so we're just going to fire off the rocks. Chips Zard coming in, Chips a Mew coming in, Chips this thing coming in later, and hopefully we can grind this thing down with a combination of like Sand Chip, Rocks Chip, Flame Orb Chip, and then damage from my other Mons. But it's definitely going to be difficult to break this thing without Rotom Wash. Now, I was aware of that. It just seemed like without the Primarina there, Blaziken would do a much better job of breaking this. So here I'm just going to pivot out into the Crobat. If Crobat gets burnt, it isn't the end of the world compared to if everything else gets burnt. And I can taunt this thing and stop it from recovering up on me. And here is when I realized that I didn't have Roost. I mentioned this in the team builder. I thought I had Roost on this set, and I didn't. I changed it for Taunt last minute and stuff, and so I was like, oh, I thought I could kind of just outlast him, Brave Bird him down, taunt him, stuff like that. And I was like, I really can't do that here. So I'm just going to go for the U-turn and kind of hope that he goes for the recover here. Fearing me like Brave Birding through him and then taunting him or something like that. Or just switches out. But he does neither of the above. And he goes for the Scold. And now I'm like, okay, I've got to pray I don't get burnt. I couldn't go into Blaziken here because of the Scold. And actually, I do get burnt. And I'm just like, oh, this is bad. This is really bad. Like, this is going to be incredibly difficult for me to win here. It's my own misplays that put me in this position, by the way. I'm not trying to claim like hacks on the burn or anything like that. Not at all. That's what Scold does. That's why it's so hard to switch into. Here I'm going to go for the U-turn because I'm fairly sure he's going to recover here. He's getting so low that a reckless high jump kick is still going to do a little bit to him, even though I'm burnt and he's burnt. With the sand chip, the flame mob chip and everything, I feel like he has to recover, which gives me Blaziken. And here I'm like, I could just pop my Z right now. And put this thing really low, or I could go for the SD, and I'm like, I could be Z Solo Beam, right? And he could fear that, so I'm just going to go for the Swords Dance, because either way, I'm going to get a big hit off. I know I take a Scold if he stays in. He might just go for the recover, scouting, you know, I could go for it, could go for the protect. I don't think he'll have the protect, though, as he just fire off the Scold, and I'm like, okay, now I have to Z, right? Now I have to Z. He could just sack something to the Z, but anything that I take out at this point is kind of valuable, so I'm just going to fire off the Z and get big damage off on something as he goes out into the Gliscor. And I'm like, okay, it really sucks because I wanted the chip on the Milotic in an ideal world, but maybe I can, you know, maybe I can play around that later in the game. Maybe there's something we can do here to still pull this out between Crobat taunting and other things like that. Maybe we can still break that Milotic down. So I'm just going to fire off the all-out pummeling here. You're going to do a hell of a lot to this Gliscor. And I believe that we will outspeed it the next turn anyway, unless he's a pretty speedy Gliscor. And from this damage, I believe this shows that he's a fairly defensive Gliscor. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty confident I can outspeed him. So I believe I just go for the high jump kick, because I can't really risk the Flare Blitz recoil doing too much to me. I'm going to have to make some ballsy plays. So we just go for the high jump kick here. And we basically take out the Gliscor, of course, guaranteed. And now he sends out the Zard X. And I'm in a bit of a difficult position again where I'm like, okay, I could really do with this thing around for the Milotic because everything else is like burnt or weakened. So I'm going to have to preserve it. But at the same time, I'm never going to be able to SD again. So I'm never going to do too much. So I'm just going to sack Brittany here. I don't think Brittany has any use being burnt. I feel like the combination of Tyranitar plus Blaziken and Crobat is like the only way I can win this game. So I'm going to have to just sack Brittany to bring in Barney again. And this way I can just fire off a big Stone Edge. Like we've already seen, the Sand Chip, the Burn Chip, the Rocks Chip, everything like that. Maybe I can outspeed the Milotic. Maybe I can do it that way. If he hard switches into Milotic here, I do think that would be a bit of a choke by him to do that. But that's like what I'm hoping that he goes for here. Even then, like, I'm not sure we can really win if Crobat can even beat this Charizard 1v1. Maybe after another round of Rocks Chip, Brave Bird will take it out. But yeah, I'm kind of trying to play off his choke and getting the rolls. I don't know if Stone Edge does 2-hit KO after Rocks, Sand, Flame Mob Chip, but maybe. And then I've got to bank on it being a slow Mew so that Blaziken can even kill the Mew to begin with, because I don't have Dark Stab on this Tyranitar. So here I'm just going to go into Adam Sandler predicting the Drain Punch or the Aura Sphere as he actually goes for the Bulk Up, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. If I had Crunch or if I just Stone Edge there and like crit through his boost, I had a chance, but this is looking like GG right now. Unless I get some crits, this is looking like GG. So I'm just going to U-turn here. I'm pretty safe in the knowledge that he's going to Zen Headbutt here now that I know that he's a Bulk Up set. I don't know if he has Roost though, because I feel like he might want Fire Punch. I feel like he's going to have Drain Punch, maybe Fire Punch and Zen Headbutt Bulk Up. So I'm like, maybe I can just chip him down. Maybe he doesn't have Roost, I can just chip him down. So I'm going to go into Tyranitar here, expecting him to Zen Headbutt and be able to take this, get another little bit of Sand Chip. Yes, he's got lefties, but like we're just dancing a little bit here. And now I'm like, okay, I could go back into my Crobat on the Drain Punch, but I think he's going to read that and go for the Zen Headbutt, so I stay in. He doesn't read that, he goes for the Drain Punch, makes a safe play. Even if I'd gone into Crobat, the combination of Drain Punch and Sand Chip on me is going to whittle me down really fast. A U-turn's doing like next to nothing to him. Eventually, he's going to get one of those reads right and KO me. So, Yeah, like, I could have tried to dance around a bit with Crobat and Tyranitar and the immunity and the 4x resist, but realistically, and if he had Roost, I was always boned whenever he clicked Roost anyway, unless I happened to taunt on the turn that he clicked Roost at the perfect time, and so I'm pretty much screwed. I'm just going to U-turn out here, hoping to, like, maybe fish for a crit there or something, double crit, something like that. It's really over for me. Go into the Blaziken and he can just Zen Headbutt me here. I believe, yeah, he actually misses there, and I'm like, oh man, if I'd been in with Blaziken, if I'd gone into Blaziken first instead of U-turning, and he'd missed the Zen Headbutt on me the last turn, that would have been amazing, but of course there was no reason he needed to, he just needed to Drain Punch. That could have worked out really great though, that miss though, if he had been fairly slow, because we could have got a big Flare Blitz off there, and then maybe Crobat could have come in and crit him or something and saved some differential, but regardless, we are obviously going to lose this game from this point. I definitely feel like the mid game I played pretty badly around the Milotic. I feel like I didn't play very aggressively. Throughout the season, I've played a little bit more aggressive, but there was once or twice where I kind of over-predicted and went for things, and he got those right. Yeah, it just didn't really work out for me that well. He said he'd been scouting me out before the battle and seen that I like to play a certain kind of way, so I think he just got the better of me here. I think mid just outplayed me. That's the reality. I'm not pleased with my performance in terms of I don't think I played very well, but that's not to say that he didn't just outplay me, because he definitely did, and the sets he brought were great too. So GG to my man mid. Definitely deserved the win here. I'm a little bit gutted, but that's how it goes. We now are back to a 5-5 record, so sitting at nice and evens again. Next week, we're going to be playing against Tone, I believe, and his Miami Malamarlins, I think it is. So hopefully we can bounce back against him and go positive again. With not many weeks left of the season, I really, really want to try and fight for those playoff spots. I feel a bit gutted with where we are. I feel like we've played better than where we are in other weeks, but we just got to keep working. So hopefully before the end of the season, your Alolan Bovines can make the playoffs. You'll have to wait and see what happens next week. We haven't played that game yet, so I really don't know either. Thank you so much for loafing around with me, guys, and I'll catch you again next time.